Hey all, this is Sean here with Game On Cards, and today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I've been making content videos here about sports cards and the sport card hobby for a month or two, and I wanted to just provide some background about my experiences when I got back into the hobby back about 10 years ago now, and just to provide some content related to, information and my journey up until this point. So my personal journey back into the hobby and my experiences started back in, when I was a kid, and probably very similar to many of you out there that, when you were a kid, you went down to your local card shop or bought some cards or had your parents buy some cards, and, as a sports fan growing up, you kind of tie in those cards in the collection with your favorite players and your favorite teams. And that's kind of what I did growing up in late 80s, early 90s during the first big sports card boom, and just really enjoyed that time, and it was a really good experience. And then as time goes on, the hobby was changing, the production was crazy as far as the amount of cards that were being created, and just I was, getting older and got into other interests and kind of fell away from it. Well, back in 2012, actually back, fast forward to, early 2012, late 2011 was kind of the second chapter of the hobby, and it actually started kind of, got back into it into an unusual way. Some friends of mine were Magic the Gathering. They were into that their younger years, and they kind of introduced me to it, and I would say that that was kind of neat and interesting. I remember going back into retail like Walmart and Target and picking up some packs and getting a starter kit for my Magic the Gathering venture, and it really didn't stick. It wasn't something that I ended up getting into. I kind of fell away from that, but what I did kind of spark my interest was the whole getting packs and opening packs, and kind of that triggered me in my nostalgic, as a kid, and it really made me want to get back into the sports card hobbies. So I would go in, in early 2012, I'd be buying retail blaster boxes from 2011 Topps Football. Football is really what I was into. I played a lot of fantasy football, and it's my favorite sport. So that's really what got me back in. 2011 Topps blaster boxes, and just seeing what the hobby was all about, and the players, and the different parallels and inserts and things like that. And then what happened was, around spring of 2012, the Jeremy Lin Linsanity kind of stuff was happening, and I knew of a sports card shop in my local area, so I went in to ask kind of about that and what the Insanity hype was all about with Jeremy Lin, and just kind of understanding what was going on with the card demands, and kind of getting an understanding of the supply and demand side of things. And the card shop owner was basically telling me that they couldn't get any basketball, they couldn't keep it in stock, and I asked about the prices and the values, and it was really eye-opening at that time. And also, the NFL draft was just weeks away, so I was super excited about the upcoming draft. That included Andrew Luck, which was the most hyped quarterback in years, along with Robert Griffin III and Trent Richardson. And at that time, maybe a little hype on Ryan Tannehill. There wasn't really much hype at all about Russell Wilson at that time yet. So. And then, I kind of started learning about hobby lingo, LCS and penny sleeves and top loaders and all that kind of stuff. And I really, what was one of the things that stood out the most was the eBay marketplace, and just how you can put list cards and sell them instantly or put them up for auction. And another big thing that was just kind of starting to emerge was the box break category in the hobby, and learning about that and watching box break videos, although there wasn't a lot going on at the time. Just understanding, all the different types of cards and the different manufacturers, and learning about how different elements of the industry were evolving, and learning about grading. And at the time, I wasn't a big fan of it. I didn't really understand the concept of not holding the card and having it slabbed in something that, you couldn't really feel it anymore. But, over time, that thought process has changed dramatically. But at that time, it wasn't a, big deal to me as far as raw versus graded cards. And I couldn't believe really the values of sports cards and how it's changed over the time from the late 80s and early 90s, with the built-in scarcity of serial numbered cards and autograph cards and relic cards. And that was really kind of exciting to me. Being able to get your favorite player's autograph on a card and pulling that and trading and buying your favorite player on eBay and things like that. So that was one of the things. At that time, just to inform those maybe who weren't in the hobby 10 years ago, but Upper Deck had the collegiate license and NHL exclusive rights. Topps had NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, and Panini had the NFL and NBA. And right in that time as well, I was graduating with my business degree, and I was in a capstone class, and I had to choose a business plan for this class to start my own business, an entrepreneur. And my whole focus, my passion, everything was really evolving in the sports card hobby. So I chose to own my own sports card shop, and kind of went that path for this class. I went in to interview a local card shop owner, and just to understand the business side, the distribution, allocation, revenue streams, consignment, group submissions, and the social media presence at the time, and all those kind of things associated with running a successful business. The card shop owner that I went and visited, he had been in business over 20 years, now over 30 years, so he's well established. He's really seen it all and kind of done it all. So that was a great experience for me to go through that. And then also I wanted to add that the new era of sports cards was quite attractive to me. There were so many people in the hobby during the boom of the 1980s and the early 90s like myself, and I kept thinking, why aren't more sports fans and card collectors rejoining the hobby as an adults, now that they have disposable income? And back in 2012, I think it was a little bit of it was unknown, they may have been just uneducated like I was about the hobby and how much it's evolved and changed. And maybe some people were just burned from the junk wax era and the overexploitation of sports cards in the hobby. And I thought, well, maybe they just lost interest and have other priorities in my life. Like that's what happened to me, during my teen years and into my 20s. But with the surge in the popularity of fantasy sports over the last 20 years, and now sports betting is becoming a big thing. I think those are associated realms that kind of tie into sports cards as well. And then I thought, as an adult, if people were to experience the nostalgia, and as a child that I have as an adult, they may get back into the hobby in some form or fashion. And that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to start this channel, is to hopefully, if I were to just have one person, out of anyone who views this channel, just to help educate them, help them understand where the hobby has evolved, I feel like that would be, I've achieved what I wanted to accomplish. So obviously I didn't understand that, it would take more than 8 years later in 2020 with the global pandemic to spark that nostalgia for a lot of people. So in some cases, I think it has happened globally, and I think that I know I'm oversimplifying, and there's many factors that led to the second boom of the hobby in 2020. But I just wanted to add that those were my initial experiences in the 10 years that I've been involved in the hobby. And despite all the knowledge I've gained during the last 10 years, I've definitely made my share of mistakes as well, and especially early on. And that's some of the additional content that I'm going to be adding, because there's a whole different chapter to add regarding some of the do's and don'ts, and really just to help inform people that may be getting back into the hobby now, so that they don't make some of the same mistakes that I did. So I appreciate everybody's time today. I would like to, if you want to leave any comments about when you got back in the hobby, or if you were in it in 2012 and maybe I missed something, please reach out, comment, subscribe. I'd love to hear back, and I appreciate everyone's time today. I wish everyone well. Have a great day. Thanks.